Hey everybody, welcome to the O365 Pulse or the Office 365 Pulse. Uh, are you in self quarantine, Tom?
I'm always in self-quarantine here.
Too funny. Well, this week's been a little bit of a crazy week. We have a pretty quiet roadmap. We only have about 25 items total, some in development, some launched, and some rolling out. So we will start with the in development bucket and kind of chat through that. Um, I'll start with a lot of first line workers. So there's some things for Microsoft Teams for first line workers. Actually, a lot of shift stuff for first line workers is coming to Microsoft Teams. So that's one thing that's in development now. So I'll kind of lead off with that one, and then I'll pass it over to Adam or Tom if they see some interesting things there in development that they kind of want to talk through. But shift line workers, if that's something that you guys are using in Teams, they've got a lot of stuff in there for development for you guys.
I've noticed a couple things in here. One is for Outlook in iOS, suggested keyword spelling corrections, which I think that's really cool because half the time I'll go to search for something and I think, I can't figure out how to spell that keyword. Maybe I could search for something similar to it. I like the fact that they're now possibly going to be able to give you the correct spelling of a keyword.
Yeah.
So you'll have a better chance of getting the results back that you're looking at instead of no results found.
I can't spell anything, so that's helpful.
And then there's also tasks in Word and Excel. Create and assign tasks to collaborators in the document, track ownership, and get work done. I think that's really cool, especially with your collaboration. If you've got multiple people working on the document at the same time, to be able to say, hey, here are the things we still need to do. We need to get a summary. We need to get executive, overview, things like that. Be able to track that ownership and say, hey, Bob, you were on the hook for this. Have you finished it? When do you think you'll be done? So I like those two things that are in development right now and look forward to those coming out soon.
Yeah, and so Jen and I had a couple things we were excited to see on here. They are basically adding usage reports for OneDrive for Business for GCC High and DoD, and adding usage reports for Teams for DoD. This is one of those tools that I think is probably underutilized in the Office 365 system as a whole, but it's something that I know Jen pushes pretty heavily in one of the products that we support around end user enablement and training. So it's something that kind of I've gotten comfortable talking with admins as well too, because it's just a great way to get an understanding of if your users are actually using the products and the tools you're putting out there. And maybe if you see users who aren't, oh, hey, like Sally over here has been having problems and saying her team's having issues. Well, maybe this would really help her out, and she just hasn't realized that or hasn't put that together. So it's definitely a tool that we use fairly often, and we encourage some of the clients we work with to use. And so seeing it finally come with OneDrive for, again, GCC High and DoD, and Teams just for DoD, that's nice to see, and something that I know we're happy to see there, because it's a way to really visualize and to really see some of the return on investment of the product and kind of target help your users where you need to. So we're definitely happy about that.
Most definitely. Well, cool. That kind of covers everything that's in development. I think, with everything that's going on with the coronavirus and Microsoft's campus having to go from in-campus to work from home, I think it's, we'll see some things pick up in the next week or two. So no worries there. All good things. But moving on to launched, which means it has launched out to your environment. The first one is the organizational news and audience targeting. That one is a good one. So that's going to allow you to target based on an audience. So think of it, if I have different groups of people based on location. If there's a storm coming into Maryland, I don't need my people in Texas to know that they can leave early because the snow is coming. So different things like that. Audience targeting is going to let you see different announcements there and different things like that. So I know we've all been waiting for that in the modern experience for quite some time. So excited to see that one out there. Sorry, Tom, if I stole your thunder.
No, I was going to let you have that, because that's been your topic for the last 3 years. So it's like, nah, not touching that one.
You have it. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, Adam, you were talking about one about a quarantine or something that launched, right?
Well, yeah. So this goes back to my days of being an Exchange admin for so long and a mail admin. So the quarantine in email is a very specific thing. A lot of companies don't even have the quarantine turned on. But if you do, you can have it basically a corporate quarantine that if messages get quarantined, someone then has to go in and look at them and release them. So I know Planet has this. So I've had multiple times in the last couple of years where it's like someone's like, oh, I sent you an email. Why haven't you responded? And for me right now, that basically means I need to go in and find the guy who runs our IT department and be like, hey, James, can you go look into the quarantine and like find this message for me? And so it's one of those things that it's kind of gated behind people for the longest time that had Exchange admin roles. And so that's fine to a certain extent, but especially if you're maybe a somewhat smaller organization, at least from an IT staff, that can be a little bit cumbersome just because you probably have one or maybe two people that have the access to do this. So it's just, they probably don't want to be stopping their day all the time to go and look for Adam's messages that didn't come in. And so basically they're introducing a new RBAC role called the Quarantine Administrator, where that user will have access to basically go in and manage the quarantine, release messages, stuff like that, but not do all the other stuff in Exchange Online, which again, I think is pretty cool because this is probably something you're much more comfortable giving someone access to, or maybe even giving someone who's not necessarily technical access to, because you don't have to be technical to know, oh, user A wants this message, I'm going to go in and release it. So not a big thing. This is not going to impact a ton of people, but from someone who lived in this world for a long time, nice change to see just because it was kind of gated unnecessarily in the past. So seeing this new role being released, and again, as Jen said, this is actually launched now, so this should be live in most users' tenants. It lists all environments, so kind of cool to see if you do use the current quarantine, maybe something you want to check out. Tom, did you have anything?
I just would like to touch on the fact at the very end of our list of things that are launched. For Microsoft Teams, for the chat feature, they're going to be moving some stuff around in there. So if you go out to chat, there's going to be a new location for the new chat button. The recent contact tabs are now going to be part of a drop-down rather than tabs. For me, mainly because we still have Skype in our environment, Skype on-prem, I still find it easier to use Skype because I get into the chat feature on Teams. I'm like, where do I start a new freaking chat here? For some reason, it just has never gelled for me. And having a new chat button right at the top of the list, I think is going to help me adapt a little further instead of going into the chat going, I've got names of people here, but if I don't have a name there, where do I start a new chat with? I've just really struggled with that. So I think that's going to help a lot to get people used to using the chat feature in Teams and being able to get to where they need to do it quickly to get a new chat going on. So looking forward to that.
Yep. Very cool. Well, that kind of goes through our launch. So moving into our last category of rolling out, these are the ones that are
even shorter now.
I know. These are the ones that are moving into, they're slowly rolling out across all of the tenants. So if you don't see it now, you should see it soon. And that is going to be the first one that we have on the list is update to @mentions email notification. This one is just kind of one that I'd like to say is common sense. You used to get an email that would tell you got @mentioned in an email, but it wouldn't tell you what was said. It would just tell you that you got @mentioned in another email. So notification that you got mentioned. Now in the notification that says you got an @mentioned, it will actually tell you what the comments are. So they're making that notification that you got @mentioned a little bit more meaningful, which is super helpful. I don't find it very helpful to tell me you mentioned me, but didn't tell me what you mentioned me about. So you just have to tell me I have to go find something else. I don't find that very meaningful. So they're rolling out an update to that. So I think that one is a good change there. So how about you guys? Anything else in the rolling out category that sounds
Go ahead,
exciting?
Tom, because I like all three of these, so I'll let you go.
I was going to say all three of the remaining ones look very atomy to me, so go for it, dude.
All right, so we'll hit on these quickly because I think some of them are kind of cool. So the first one is safe links for Office Online. If you have used advanced threat protection from Office 365, you're probably comfortable with safe links. It's the idea that when your users get an URL in an email and they go to click on it, rather than it just opening that URL, it basically opens up in like a protection.office.com thing, where essentially what's happening is Microsoft is opening the URL on their own virtual environment and bringing the user into that virtual environment. And once they determine it's safe, they're combining those connections and letting stuff go through like normal. But it basically means if someone sends you a malicious link or something like that. By having advanced threat protection on it, protects your users from going there by opening this in this virtual world for Microsoft. That's just now come into the Office Online suite too.
This is in our tenant, Adam. I've hit it.
Yeah. So if you're looking at like a Word document or a PowerPoint document or Excel document, whatever, and there's a URL in there, now that's protected in the same way your email was before. So not a huge change, but for people that are already comfortable with safe links, probably like to have. The second one, so I thought this was actually pretty cool. They have the title of Custom Mailbox Submissions and Improvements for the Admins Submissions. So this kind of goes back in the same area of living in quarantine. But so basically right now, there are multiple ways that users can report messages. The main way that you have it is you can basically say you have a message that you determine is a false positive for spam, or you have a message that you think is malicious. There are ways built in through the Outlook client that give you the ability to report the message to Microsoft and say, hey, you need to go in and take another look at this. It's not the most intuitive process, and it's one of the things that you tell users they should do that, and whether they're actually doing it or not is kind of hard to tell. Where they're improving that whole process, they're actually going to allow you to send message files directly in on this now. Before, you had to be looking at the actual message in the actual mailbox. So if you had a user that came to you and said, oh, I got this weird email, and you're like, oh, cool, like, this is what you need to do. Like, oh, well, I deleted it. And you're just like, well, I don't really want to tell the user to go back and restore a bad message. But so this makes that whole process easier. But the cooler part about this is they're also going to add some customization to where you can now also have either an email address that you have your users send stuff to submit to you, or actually have one that goes to your security team. So you can either have like a shared mailbox type system that you say, oh, when you report this, send the message over there and we'll go through and review it, or maybe enter in like a DL and say like, oh, like security@adamoaks.net. Okay, well, when users submit this, I want you to send that to security@adamoaks.net. So if you're a larger organization, you have your own built-in team that reviews these, you can integrate that into the existing submission process, or you can go to Microsoft, or you can go through and do a shared mailbox, just giving you more options on how you handle that with your users, which to me, more options is always a good thing if you want to customize it. And then the final one, and this is something that I know Jen and I are both going to see and be happy about. So right now, if you use a Microsoft Authenticator app, it's pretty nifty. You can go in and it's easy to do. I know myself, I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues on Monday. I have like 12 tenants added onto my Microsoft Authenticator app because I have my lab environments and I have accounts created in customer environments. And we always want to make sure that those are secure and there's two factors so they're not going to get hacked. Well, they're basically adding a new page in the Microsoft Authenticator app that's going to allow you to pull up information about your accounts and what they're calling a full page view. But the main thing this is going to do is it's going to allow you to do some easier stuff directly into the app. Specifically, you're going to be able to do stuff like set one-time password codes just by clicking on a button inside of there. You're going to be enable passwordless phone sign-in if you want to do that and your organization has the ability to. Things like that. So before, primarily all you did was go through and look at the codes or click an approval notification when you got it. It's going to make it easier to allow you to do some basic administrative type functionality that's available to the end user in the app itself through a couple buttons. So just ease of use thing that's coming out that's nice to see.
Cool. Both Tom and I are like, cool.
Cool, dude.
As many things.
Gnarly.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we will be back next week with more updates. Actually, I think it will just be Tom and Adam next week. I'm going to be at the virtual MVP summit next week. So I'm not sure when we can record around that, but we'll see. So it will definitely at least be Tom and Adam. It may be Tom, Jennifer, and Adam. We shall see. And then, yeah, so hopefully there'll be more updates next week. Hopefully. We'll
Stay safe. Work from home well.
Yes, everyone stay safe. Wash your hands and don't touch your face and avoid crowds.
Last night when we were at our dance lesson, they had a little bowl of like jelly beans there. And so we'd finished and I went to take 3 jelly beans and Tamara's like,
don't do
You're
that.
taking jelly beans in the middle of a coronavirus outbreak? And there was a bottle of Perel. I said, just slap some Perel on them, okay? I'll get good with this.
I know Jen and I can probably attest. Both her and I did travel this week because we had a meeting for work. It's kind of crazy / funny, not to minimize anything, but I saw multiple things. Like I saw people that had like the masks that you would wear to protect your face, which don't really do anything for coronavirus, that had them on like completely wrong. Like a mask is designed to go around your ears with straps, and they'd have like one wearing as a headband and one kind of like loosely around their neck, and you're just like, what's going on? So regardless, be safe out there, guys. Good luck with your work weeks, and we'll see everyone next week.
Bye, y'all.